Right. Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Welcome for I think a very, very important Minatzchim meeting. For those that are here, for those that will watch this later. Obviously, we're giving sich in a matzav right now, the ganze Welt treitzels sich, and it's not just obviously in Eretz Yisrael, in Eretz HaKodesh, but Eretz HaKodesh is always at the center of whatever is occurring across the world, and the reverberations of it are being felt taka throughout the world. And as shluchim, we are constantly ourselves beyond just figuring things out, plugging things into our avodas Hashem and our shluchas ikris. We are now in the position of answering and leading and guiding our kehilas. Everybody, each one of us has been I think whether we feel that we're in the position to or not, have been asked to provide answers to some very difficult questions. And Be'ikr, the Rebbe has taught us that we don't engage in theodicies. We don't engage in the philosophical questions about why, but more important about what we can do and what we should do, and most importantly, as the Rebbe taught us, how we take these moments, these developments, and use them as in a sense, a catalyst for ourselves and for the ganze Welt to take the necessary step towards the Kabbalah's Pnei Moshiach. And I think in this moment, every single one of us has had stories of people that have been shaken out of their complacency, and in a sense, or everybody is feeling the acuteness of the darkness of Golus, and feel that something needs to be done about it. And this is our opportunity, really. Every moment is an opportunity, but perhaps even greater than opportunity, it's our great responsibility to be guiding first ourselves and then our kehilas into viewing everything that occurs, and in specific this, with a Moshiach mindset. How people are mekablim, we're mekablim. Something has to change dramatically. Something has to there has to be the forward progress in this, and so it is it's an opportunity, a special opportunity, and we are very grateful to Rabbi Ari Shishler, who I think all of us have seen that as a particular talent in taking the Rebbe's chayrais and making them relevant, and finding ways to make them b'ofen hamaskabel and exciting, and something that all of Yidden, wherever they're standing, wherever they are at in their Yiddishkeit, can accept and be excited about, and importantly, with a passion in Kabbalah Samalchus. So, without further ado, in this very important moment in the march towards the Gula, we ask Rabbi Shishler to share some thoughts and farbrengen with the Olam.
Sandy, thank you very much, and it's a tremendous chus to sit with all of you. I feel it's been doing all time with people over here who I think are much more active and much more familiar than I'm going to claim to be. But let me tell you a story, maybe by way of introduction. So I don't know, depending on what kind of a community you have, that would determine what kind of messages you get forwarded. Because right now we're all being bombarded with who knows how many messages, many of them multiple times. So before Shabbos, there was the Elon Gold video. Did you see the Elon Gold video? Where he says, and my community was really excited about it, because a few hours earlier, I sent out a video to our community saying, stop scrolling and start scrolling. And then the next thing, he did the same thing, and everybody's really excited about it. So one of the women in our community said to me, is it true that in Parshas Noach it says Hamas twice? Is that true? They were so blown away by this. So I said, yeah, it is. In fact, and I showed them exactly where it is. So the person said to me, that's so frightening. So I said, well, why is it frightening? fakert, right? It should be the exact opposite. The fact that you could see the correlation, you can see that the parasha is speaking the language of what's going on in the world. It should be reassuring. Don't you find it reassuring that you can see that the Avish is conducting everything? So this person wrote back to me, yes, but he hasn't done a great job of the opening act. So the reason I mention that is because I think we have to be incredibly, incredibly sensitive how we speak to people, because everybody's hurting and everybody's really perplexed and really totally, like you said, people have been totally rattled. They've been totally shaken out of their complacency, but they're feeling extremely vulnerable and extremely fragile. And it's really important that as we contextualize whatever we're going to tell people about Gula Moshiach, that it doesn't come across as if we're explaining away, as you said already in the introduction, or being insensitive to what's going on. Just this evening, it's the first time it's happened to me here in South Africa, but this evening I met somebody who has two first cousins who are hostages. So you think all the way in South Africa, you think, that you're a little bit further from the conflagration. But, so people, you don't know what somebody's going through. You don't know how sensitive they are. And so what I've been saying a lot to people is, what happened, we have no power over. What is happening and what will happen, that we absolutely have power over. So in the same way as all the psychological experts are telling us we shouldn't get caught up looking at graphic images or graphic videos because you can't unsee these things, in the same way, we shouldn't get anchored in an event that happened and just stay there. Our responsibility is to respond to what's happened. Now, the fascinating thing is that, and somebody here got really upset with me for saying it, because I wasn't around during the 6-Day War. So I said, I feel that the Hisorus, there's another rabbi who got upset. So I feel like the Hisorus that's happening in the world today is unprecedented. So he said, no, it's not unprecedented. In the Cheshvon Minatzchim, there was also tremendous Hisorus. But the truth is, I really do think it's unprecedented. And I'm sure that you agree. There's a Hisorus that is unprecedented in the Jewish world. The response, the sense of achdus, the sense of genuine care for our fellow Jews, whether they be in Israel or in other parts of the world, whether they be from the same stripes that we come from, it's irrelevant. There's this incredible sense of achdus. But more than that, there's this sense of realizing, without us even having to explain it perhaps as well as you had to explain it in the Chops, people have this consciousness of the fact that if you do something beruchnius, it really does make a difference. Now, I'm not saying that everybody feels that way or everybody believes that, but this is a shift. Just this afternoon, I had to go to a Shiva house. So there were a whole lot of people over there. I put on tefillin with a whole lot of people. And when I said to them, we're going to put on tefillin for the schus of Eretz Yisrael, the soldiers, it was like, it wasn't even a surprise to them. It was completely normal to them that that's what you do. You do something beruchnius. We're talking about people who are not from people. And again, maybe South Africans are a little bit more traditional. But there's this incredible Hisorus that's happening in the world, and we have to harness that Hisorus in the most powerful way. So the day after Simchas Torah Isra Chag, Monday night, we had a massive get-together, an Atzeres Tefillah over here, organized by the Chief Rabbi of South Africa. And they had Rabbonim speak, and they had lay leaders speak, and they had the Israeli ambassador speak. And everybody said pretty much the things that you would expect them to say. But what was really missing over there, and I think this is where we have to position ourselves, what was missing over there is there wasn't anybody who said, and Moshiach should come, let alone to say Moshiach should come now. Because, there's that code that from people use. They say Moshiach should come speedily in our days. I always say to them, when you're willing to get your Amazon package speedily in our days, then it would be an appropriate way to speak about Moshiach. But to speak, not in a sense of immediacy, but even to speak about Moshiach, because Mantakar nobody even mentioned it. And at the end, needless to say, it was a Zionist-led function. So at the end, they sang the which song. I unfortunately was out of there by then. But the only other song that they sang was because it's very emotive. I was thinking, why didn't they sing Animame? Something like that. And the point I'm trying to make, I think, is that the Rebbe successfully got the world on board for things that we were pioneering in previous Israeli crises. So in Cheshvon Minatzchim, we were the only people going out doing mitzvah tefillin. That's obvious. There was nobody else. And even in Lubavitch, I'm not sure that everybody was 100% on board to do mitzvah tefillin. A lot of people had to work it through. Now you see these non-frum people here in South Africa. There's a Jewish day school. It is not a frum school, and every single day since Simchas Torah, the kids at the school have a table and they put on tefillin with other kids at the school. So to make sure that every kid is putting on tefillin. I'm sure you've seen all the different stories that are coming through from soldiers. You see that Misnagdim are sending tefillin now. So the Mitzvahs that were at the forefront of previous Israeli crises have been taken on by the rest of the world. Everybody gets it. Everybody's sending tzitzis. Everybody's checking mezuzahs. The Sofrim over here have been inundated with people are having the mezuzahs checked because B'Hashgacha Pratis over Yom Kippur, we spoke about, amongst the Shluchim, we spoke to our communities about the Mitzvahs that the Rebbe launched after the Yom Kippur War. So people are already engaged in the Mitzvahs that we had to fight tooth and nail in order to mainstream in the past. So if that's already happening, then clearly, obviously, we need to be at the forefront of the Iker Shlichus, which is speaking about Moshiach. And not speaking about Moshiach in some kind of abstract terms to say, yeah, this is messianic, and of course people start pulling out, and I don't believe that there's something wrong with that. Start pulling out this Nevuah or that Zohar, or whatever the case is. Incredible Zohar from Parshas Vayera about the Sari Shel Yishmael, who argues that that Yishmael has a bris and therefore deserves a chelik in Eretz Yisrael. And David says he's going to give it to him because he'd rather that Yishmael has schar in Olam Hazeh, not to have any schar ruchni in Olam Haba. And then the Zohar goes on to say, and Yishmael is going to start wars against the world. I'm sure you're familiar with the Zohar. And that Edom is going to come, and there's going to be one war is going to be by Yabosha, and one is going to be by Yom, and one is going to be Samech Yerushalayim, and then there's going to be a nation that comes from the end of the world, and it's going to fight with them. And at the end, the only surviving chela, the only surviving, whether you want to translate it as army or perhaps just as a significant entity, is going to be the. It's like a fascinating Zohar. It's in next week's parashat, Mamish Levin Mitzvah, and it's things that are unfolding right now. So, on the one hand, we could share these things possibly with people. I'm not sure that everybody's kalim to hear these things. But one thing that I found that people really are kalim to hear is the concept of tshuva and geula. That is something that people, I'm finding that they're really resonating with hearing it. And but maybe just to backtrack one step, and then I'll come back to that. To backtrack to the point that when you look at the sichos in Tafshin Nun Aleph Nun Beis, you see that very often when the Rebbe spoke about either the Gulf War or about the collapse of communism, or even things that were happening in the United Nations, condemnations of Israel, and the Rebbe consistently used the expression that these things are me'ein, dugma, va'achona to the time of Moshiach. And those three words are really powerful words because there's certain things. Firstly, the Rebbe is training us that we're supposed to read what's going on in the world, obviously different to anybody else. We have to see what's happening in the world events, particularly of such a large scale, and particularly things that hit us in such a personal way. We have to look at them differently and not just say, this is mikra nikra and something happened in the world, but it's me'ein, dugma, va'achana. These are things that are either a taste or an example or a preparation or perhaps all of the above to the Geula. So whatever angle we're going to take on what's going on in Eretz Yisrael now and by extension in the rest of the world, it has to be clearly that it's Me'ein Dugma Ba'achana, or perhaps, I think we dare say even more than that, this is the unfolding of Geula itself. So how do we get that across to people? Most people look at us and they say, you've got to be kidding. The main thing that we have to daven for now is the hostages should come back safely, and our soldiers should come back safely, and there should be peace. That's what everybody's looking for. There should be peace in Israel. So recently we had a conversation here in our Chabad house. I said to people, so tell me, what exactly are you praying for? What are you praying for? So you're praying that Sahel wins this war. You're praying we get the hostages back. Basically what you're praying for is a reprieve for the next few years. That's what you're praying for. Because in the same way as all the people who spoke with such confidence about never again are now trying to reword it and say never again is now. I had somebody who sent me a message on social media with this big sign that says never again is now. So and I sent back to the person, I said, you got to reword it. You got to reword the sign as Moshiach is now. So they got really excited about that, right? It's not a frum person. They got really excited about it because people are waiting for us to give them that guidance. You know, if you think about, I'm assuming we're all having similar experiences where people are literally knocking on our doors in one way or another, either physically or virtually. And they're asking us, what are we supposed to do? How should we respond? How do we digest the news that's going on? So we say to people, we have to say to people, nothing that's happening in the world is a backtrack. It's not as if we were headed towards Moshiach and we got backtracked, or Hamas managed to derail Moshiach, something like that. But there's something happening over here that is really, really unique and really unprecedented. So whether you want to get into the fact that all these European nations have suddenly changed their tune, and of course the cynics will tell you that it's only going to be short-lived, and they're sending support to Israel, and they're sending their leaders to Israel, etc. Or if you're going to say that it's this Yizbaru v'Islavnu of people really going either one side or the other. There's no more of this gray area of, there's a local politician here who got up yesterday and said, we have an election year next year. So he said, when we come into power next year, we're going to arm Hamas. So it was a hilarious statement for the locals, because first of all, his party hasn't ever gotten anywhere close to winning an election. And secondly, the best thing that could ever happen to the Jewish people is if the South Africans were going to start arming Hamas, seeing as we have a defunct army over here of our own. So I'd love to see, unless maybe they're going to send some of their people there, which would be to the mutual benefit possibly of both societies. But what is happening is, this is a politician who for a very long time was saying, I have criticism of the Israeli government. I have nothing against the Jewish people. Okay, so now Yisparov Islavna, now it's clear. It's becoming very clear where people stand. The lines of good and evil are very clearly defined. So when you discuss that with people, they hear it. So the conversation we had was, so what are you davening for? What are you davening for? You're davening for the fact that Israel should win this war? Are you davening for the fact that all the soldiers should come back unscathed? Are you davening for the fact that we should get all the hostages back safely? Let's assume that your prayers are answered. Then what happens to Hezbollah? Or to Iran? Or to the hordes of these Hamas supporters that have now poured out onto the streets of every Western city? So let's say your prayers were answered, and then you discover in a year or two that maybe you davened for the wrong thing. So the conversation, through this conversation, people came to realize that actually, we actually need to be davening for something else. We need to be davening for something more conclusive, more absolute. So then I said to him, so that means we need to use this opportunity where there is such a service, where people are so engaged and doing things that they've never done before. Everybody's putting on tefillin, and everybody's doing challah bakes, and everybody's saying Tehillim, and people are asking questions, and restaurants in Tel Aviv are kashering their kitchens, and things that we've never seen before. And dare I say that part of it is when you see some of our very left-leaning Jewish brothers and sisters suddenly recognizing that their position is not the correct position, and they're kind of scrambling now to find truth, which is probably also a positive thing in terms of MS. MS Teinederes, the Ben Ish Chai says, MS Teinederes means that it will be droves, like flocks, like it says by Yaakov Avinu when he sent the gifts to Esau, right? That he sent Adorim. It's going to be flocks of people coming back to MS. It's one of the things he said is going to happen before Moshiach. Flocks of people coming back to MS. So what should we be davening for? Something far bigger than just an immediate resolution, because the Eibush is showing us now, that the problem is beyond what any human has the capacity to solve, certainly not in the short term. And B, the Jewish community has responded in a way that we have never seen before. So we've got to invest, we've got to capitalize on this incredible, unprecedented opportunity and make sure not to daven just for a short-term fix. So then people say, yeah, but Moshiach sounds like an absolute fantasy. We get it. We understand the scope of the problem, or perhaps we're starting to understand the scope of the problem, and perhaps we recognize that there's this battle of good and evil that's playing out in the world. But how do you expect us to daven for something so far-fetched, so unimaginable like Moshiach? It just sounds like Rabbi, you're offering us a fantasy solution, not a realistic solution. So I said to them, on Hoshana Rabbah this year, if somebody would have told you and predicted and described the attack that was going to happen in less than 24 hours in Eretz Yisrael, would you have called that a fantasy? It was unimaginable for the majority of people. Perhaps there were some, you know how it is, there's always some military strategists who pop in afterwards and say, I saw it was coming and I warned the government. But 99% of people did not see it coming ever. Because 99% of the Jewish world, at least those people who have some affiliation with Judaism, believe absolutely in the promise that if there's a state of Israel, Jews are safer than ever. That's what they believed. And then their bubble was burst in a few short hours in such a dramatic way that they have no choice but to reconsider everything that they believed. So that could happen. Such devastation could happen without anybody seeing it coming. Such devastation could happen despite the fact that we couldn't picture it. So am I really that crazy to say that the world could go good in a way that we couldn't perceive quicker than we could imagine? Maybe the issue is not that I have a fantasy about Moshiach coming. Maybe the issue is that people don't have an appreciation for what Moshiach is. Yes, if you think that Moshiach is a superhero who's going to swoop out of the heavens, snap his fingers, and the whole world is just going to fall into place, yeah, that is a fantasy. But if you understand that right from the beginning of the creation of the world, and you believe in the fact that there is a creation, of course, if somebody doesn't believe that, it's a different conversation. But you believe in a higher authority, and you believe in a creator of the world, and therefore you have to believe that the creator of the world did not expect the world continues to go through these throes of negativity all the time. You have to believe that there's a bigger plan. You have to believe that there's a light that emerges from this tunnel. You have to believe that there is a better reality that is the goal. So people say, but these things have happened before. Surely there have been times in the past where people also felt that there were such cataclysmic things happening in the Jewish community, and therefore it had to be Moshiach, and they were let down. Well, first of all, that is an intellectual fallacy to use that kind of an argument, because anybody who claims that because something has never happened before, therefore it could never happen, that's a ridiculous rationale. You know, there were never self-driving cars before. Actually, there were never cars before. And yet there are now. You speak to people in the technology world, and they'll tell you that we're on the cusp of such an incredible revolution with artificial intelligence that nobody could predict how the world is going to look in the next few months, because it's going to be so ridiculous. So the fact that something hasn't happened is certainly never a predictor of the fact that it will never happen. That's as logical as a person saying, or I heard a good mashal for it once. If we were using the mashal internally, we'd use the mashal of the kaparas chicken, but the better mashal is the Thanksgiving turkey. So the Thanksgiving turkey, a month before Thanksgiving, the farmer starts to give the turkey more food than all the other turkeys. So the turkey starts to believe that it is the favorite turkey of the farmer. And with every day that passes, that it gets more food, it becomes more confident in the fact that the farmer loves it. So that the day before Thanksgiving is the day that turkey has the greatest confidence in the fact that life is good. That's the fallacy of believing that because something hasn't happened, therefore it could never happen. In the same way as we believe that nobody has attacked Israel in such a malicious and horrific way, so it could never happen. So Merubah Midah Tova, that just because Moshiach didn't unfold in the way that we expected in previous times it's not an empirical indicator that it's not going to happen now. But the key thing is what I started saying before, that we could definitely illustrate to people, and they could definitely relate to it, is this concept of tshuva. There is this wave, there's this kavashay for God, there's this incredible tshuva happening in the world. The problem is that 90% of Jewish people are afraid of the word tshuva because they're either associated with a tremendous sense of failing, that I have to know that I failed as a human being, or they associated with an incredible pressure to become very religious overnight. And we know that tshuva doesn't have to mean that. Tshuva is b'shaytoch chada u'b'rigoch. And shaytoch chada comes from the lashon sha'ah. It's a pivot, a word that was very popular during COVID, yes? To be able to pivot. It's the ability for a person to switch their orientation. It's not necessary that the person becomes black hat overnight. There's a switch of orientation. I used to think that I was comfortable as an American. Now I realize that I'm a Jew. I used to think that it was those religious people who had to put on tefillin, but now I realize that I need to wear tefillin. I used to think that I was good buddies and close bosom friends with all those left woke people, and now I realize that's not my place. That type of tshuva, geula, or whichever words you want to use, the Gemara in Sanhedrin, even though we don't want to invoke the Gemara that says about Melech Shikzeiros of Kashan Kahaman, but Rabbi Yeshua over there says clearly that ultimately, Rav says it, Rabbi Elazar says, Rabbi Yeshua says that ultimately everybody's going to do tshuva. If we could just illustrate to people, look at the consciousness, the awareness, the Jewish pride, the Jewish unity, the Jewish investment that is bipartisan, multi-partisan, across every element of the Jewish world, and tell me if you could have predicted that even 3 weeks ago, and you understand that that's what the unfolding of Moshiach is. It's a realization of emes. It's a realization of what a Jew is. It's an appreciation of the neshama. It's an appreciation of Eretz Yisrael as our land, not as the state of Israelis. Then people suddenly hear what you say. You're right. Something is shifting. Something dramatic is happening. And then we tell people, so what we need from you is we need you, of course, you've got to put it on spinning for the Chayalim, and you've got to have a letter to Sefer Torah and check your mezuzahs, and you have to daven and demand Moshiach. You actually have to do that is the key part of what we should be doing now, so that we're insisting that the soldiers finish the job, and we have to make sure that we also finish the job, that we don't leave the objective half complete, daven for a partial solution. So if we could communicate that kind of concept to our Mukurabim, to our people, and possibly even to people who are not our historic Mukurabim, because people are coming out of the woodwork. Just tell you an interesting story that happened over here. Everybody's really excited about those two so-called Palestinian guys who put on tefillin. We had a story over here where a member of our community walked into a store, and the woman behind the counter says, "I'm really sorry to hear what's happening in Israel, and my sympathies with you," whatever. So the guy, he's a member of our community, says to her, "What's your connection to Israel? Why does it bother you?" She says, "No, my mother was Jewish." The amount of people, somebody sent me a message the other day, they have a contractor working in their house, and you have to understand that in South Africa, most contractors are not European descent. So this person has a contractor working in their house, and it turns out that he was adopted as a little baby, and his biological parents are Jewish. He wants to have a bar mitzvah. I mean, say, what's supposed to be? So things are happening in an escalated fashion. What we need to do is direct people to understand what's happening, what the potential of what's developing is, and how they should become catalysts for that potential to manifest. So, Ritz Hashem, just the Achlata Tova should be sufficient to be able to turn the Choshech to Or and the pain to Simcha. And we should be Zoiche, like the Yalkut Shimoni says, to the Yom Tov that was reserved for Chodesh Cheshvan, the Yom Tov of the Beis Hamikdash Shlishi, and should happen take it from Yad Mamash.
Yashakayach, Rabbi Shishler, for again, both I think the poignant, but most importantly the relevant words and ideas, and I think that's perhaps what we would like to open the floor up a little bit. And I think in this farbrengen of shluchim over here, I think all of us have that bren and that sense, that shpilkus. I think we go to sleep with this at night, and we wake up first thing in the morning saying, what are we doing enough, or what is it that as has been as obvious that the whole world tastes as if, and our communities are starving for guidance. This is a gelegenheit that I can't remember in recent years, that there's been a gelegenheit where people are coming to us and saying, "Rabbi, tell me what to do, and I'm ready to do it." And as Rabbi Shishler pointed out, they're coming to us because the Rebbe has been matzliach in changing the mindset of the Yiddish folk, that when things like this are happening, that you have to turn to your spiritual guide, that you ask about a mitzvah. Again, somebody who I can speak for myself in this regard, from our community. Somebody who's been a very good friend of Chabad, etc., etc. But tefillin was never his thing. There was a boy from the local school the local Jewish school, the conservative Jewish school, an Israeli family. They made Aliyah. He was called up, and he was just unfortunately he lost his life up north. And so this person called me and said, Rabbi, my daughter was very close to this boy. They were in the same class. I'm coming over. I want to put on tefillin. That association, that immediate association, that he said that this is what he wants to do. That that I think that's the Rebbe through his shluchim has taught the world this connection. But now we have to take it to the next step. And I think Rabbi Shishler and others that are here, that have been dynamic in leading their kehilas in terms of changing their mindset to not just to ruchnius, but to the ultimate goal in what we are doing. I think Takas Eitzes here, everybody share an idea or two, just to put stuff out there so that we all, a clearinghouse of ideas, so we all can take a few ideas back with us in terms of what you have done. I think Rabbi Shishler shared a few very important points. I think other people also here have some ideas that we can all benefit from on providing our kehilas with the necessary guidance. So again, please, nobody be shy. And somebody, if you had anything that you did, or even a comment, I think I took a couple things from Rabbi Shishler said about telling people that the same thing we're demanding from the army, no half measures, right, from the Israeli army. We would, every single one of us would be incredibly frustrated if the army goes and does some really powerful things, but doesn't get the job done. Right there is the Geula. Right there is the message for the Geula. We are settling for no half measures, Moshiach now, and that's it. Right there, you can say, if you're demanding it from the army, then even what you're expecting, to a certain degree, do you realize that you yourself are asking for a half measure, right? That we should get rid of Hamas, and that you consider the job done. Clearly, that's not the job. That's not the completed job. The ultimate completion is one that we can all participate in, is bringing the Geula. And so that's the ultimate complete measure. So that's, I think, a powerful point. Anybody else, please take a moment, come off mute and share. This is a farbrengen.
Just one thing I want to add to that. We shouldn't, I mean, speaking to the converted over here, but we just simply shouldn't be embarrassed or afraid to speak about Moshiach right now, because I think people are expecting to hear
that. Yeah, I want to ask you, Rabbi Shishler, first of all, Yashakar Gadol, and how would you give over to your community? I think it makes sense not to give over I don't know exactly the wording, that Anav Megiz Mangalaschim, basically the whole Nun Aleph and the Beis, Ba'ifin HaMaskabel. How would you do that?
Don't do the whole, you do little pieces of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Little pieces, it's a lot.
There's so much to share with people, and so much of it is taking people already out of their natural train of thought and their natural comfort zone, that we probably need to allow ourselves a little bit of time, and I'm going to say time, not that we should delay. One of the things that says in the Zohar, the reason why Yishmael doesn't get to have the kesher with Eibush is because he wants time. He doesn't want to do the bris milah immediately. He wants to have time. So we shouldn't be asking for extra time. But the point is that we definitely can't bombard everybody with all of the information in one shot. What we have to do is fundamentally shift how people perceive the concept of Moshiach and Geula. Because to most people, they think it's some outdated idea about some knight in shining armor that comes along and does magic, and then the world is a better place. And that's impossible. And obviously, it's never going to happen, and we live in a modern world. And I feel that when the Rebbe spoke so much about Me'ein Dugma Ba'achona, the Rebbe was coaching us that we have to illustrate to people in terms that they could relate to, in terms of things that are happening in the world. And rather than just contextualizing, wow, this is an amazing thing that's happening in the world, explain to people, and this aligns with something that Chazal or the Nevi'im told us is going to happen when Moshiach comes. And this is just prep. This is just the sample. It gets a lot better than that. That's the kind of language when we speak about which obviously is the core of what Moshiach is all about, is Giloy Elikus, Giloy Atzmus, right? That's what Moshiach is all about. So we have to preface that. We have to explain to people. The Eibusha created a world. There was a goal, right? In the second pasuk of Torah, you already have Ruach Elokim, Ruach Moshiach. That's before the world takes form. So there is a goal. There's a purpose. That goal and purpose will absolutely happen because the Eibusha, it's going to happen. We're fortunate enough that we're living through a period in time where it is unfolding. Now, you get two choices. You can either get your information from the media, which is now proven to be highly unreliable, or you could get your information from the Torah, which has an incredible track record. So as we go through things that Torah says, you'll start to feel familiar with things that, oh, wow, the Torah spoke about this. And I think that helps people to come to terms, number one, with the fact that Moshiach is not some far-fetched fantasy, and number two, that you're not a crazy person for identifying what's happening in the world, which would have blown the mind of any person up until perhaps a decade ago, and say, this is exactly what they were talking about.
The question, this is an opportunity to show the world, show our communities, but they never warned us, don't give away land. And therefore we have to take back the Gaza. We gave it away, let's take it right back.
Yeah,
That is also Moshiach. That is also Moshiach, because the Rebbe, you take a look at Parshas Lech Lecha, the Rebbe says that the tzivui of Lech Lecha is today, current today, because we don't have Eretz Yisrael b'shleimus. We're still in the middle of the Lech Lecha. We have to take possession of Keni, Knizi, v'Kadmoinu. We have to take the entire land. In other words, and by the Rebbe, from the Rebbe's perspective, Chassidus, the fact that Yidden live in Eretz Yisrael, that itself is dira b'tachtonim. That itself is the Hisgalus of the Eibishter. What is the Eibishter being Hisgala? And the Eibishter is Hisgala through Yechidah of Nefesh of every Yid. When you're seeing Yidden in Eretz Yisrael completely now in touch with their Yechidah, right now is Begiloi Atzmus is dira b'tachtonim. Because these Yidden are in a state of tachtonim till now, very far from any type of spiritual conduct, and yet they're expressing the deepest, highest Pintele Yid is now being this Gala. So, and part of that is Yidden take possession physically of the land, and we're not allowed to do that. Because Chas v'Shalom, if we're taking a piece of Eretz Yisrael and giving it away, we are introducing Golus. We are fighting the Eibishter's Taiva. It goes against the entire purpose of existence.
Yes,
but see, just that itself is also a Mashiach. It's not a Zeitige Zach.
Yeah, but I think the question is this what we're going to focus on and tell the Israeli government and the army, etc., what they should do? Is this going to be having any purpose? Is it going to accomplish anything besides just venting and feeling better, personal therapy? That's one thing, but I think as Rabbi just said, I think we have to focus and explain people what they can do. And what they can do is to demand Moshiach, to demand the Gula, to live Gula. And when you speak to a person, Yechida, but if you tell a person that exactly what the Rebbe said, that what everything is happening today in the world is not an isolated event. That's what the Rebbe said, Munalef. All the things that are happening in the world is not isolated events. All these are part of the process of the coming of the Gula. It's not a simon. These are not simonim. That's the process. Unfortunately, the process, as the Gemara said, it's going to be a painful one. The process is extremely painful. The process is one that the Eibishter decided this is how it's going to be. Do we want it? Do we accept it? Do we justify it? No. But we tell the Eibishter, the Rebbe always says, the process should be b'chesed v'rachmin. The Rebbe always screaming, everything should be b'chesed v'rachmin. As the Friedrich Rebbe said, his Nesir should be b'chesed v'rachmin. Unfortunately, it turned out, I guess, chsodim of the parshas in the Torah that we know have a deeper meaning. That the Mittel Rebbe didn't hear it, the Alter Rebbe didn't say. But we do hear it, and we do see it, and we do feel it. Nevertheless, notwithstanding this pain, we should not lose focus. Look in the Gemara. As you said before, you want to get your news from the newspapers, you'll get newspapers. But if you want to know the news, look and learn the Gemara Sanhedrin, Gemara Soita, and learn these inyanim. As the Rebbe says, we have to learn the inyanim Moshiach Gula the way it is from Torah Shebeksav all the way to Lekut Sichos of the Sidarenu, and then we'll see what the process of Gula is. And we are definitely at the last nanosecond of it, and these people understand. And I just want to share this, which I think is comforting and encouraging. Lately, there is a change here. The local federation, they became very close with Chabad, etc., inviting us. So the federation, like every federation in the world, had a rally immediately with a big thing, and they were officially invited. Actually, this guy was Moshe Nu. He spoke and said a capital Tilim, and he actually spoke. We're not going to settle for nothing less than the coming of Moshiach, and everybody applauded. And which is something that a while back federation would not necessarily give you a mic to be able to say that. Right? So there is definitely be a change, and people understand. People are willing to hear it. We just should not be embarrassed to say it. We shluchim, and this is what we have to encourage. We have to say it ourselves. And I think we should ask and encourage those people who produce all these nice, beautiful messages today about putting on tefillin and giving tzedakah for Israel. It should be permeated with the concept, with the reality of Geula in this message. The very same message should have the message of Geula. And if we put it in our status, if we put it in our emails, if we send it constantly, and we keep on telling people, this is what it is. People do understand, and I want to hear it. People want to hear it. People want to hear good news. People want to hear not half-baked news. Okay, while we celebrate that 4 hostages were released, we are devastated that 220 are not. Right? So we want a complete, and as you said, we want a complete thing. And the only complete thing is Kula Mitzvah Shlema. And this is what we have to keep on hammering and hammering. I mean, talking about it again and again and again and again, it goes conscious, as you said before, and becomes a reality.
So the question over here is there's the big world, and each and every one of us is responsible for the influence that we can have. But as a Das Chassidei Chabad and as a Das Shluchim, I feel that we have to intensify this amongst the Shluchim, because it seems like there's been, there's a lot of tefillin, there's a lot of post-6-day war and 6-day post-Yom Kippur, but there was a breath of fresh air hearing Rabbi Shishler today. I'm not hearing that so much out in the message coming from Lubavitch. Why is that important? It's important. The question is, what can we do? But also because Kinnis HaShluchim is coming up, and I just received an update from the Kinnis HaShluchim about how they are adapting the Kinnis to reflect more the matzav in Achenu B'nai Yisrael. And I don't want it should be an Achenu B'nai Yisrael Ha'imdim Batzara B'Shivya type of a kinnis. It needs to be an Animamin kinnis. So the question is, what can we still do to feed this to those that are organizing it? Because that's where everybody. I mean, they have to tell from Abdus Shchedish Kislevich and Zaynisim Stein de Beis Hamikdash Shlishi. But if Chas Shalom we have to wait a little longer, Shluchim have to walk out empowered with the message of Mashiach, not just do one mitzvah.
So all you need to do is send an email to the Kinnis of Shluchim and voice it. And the more people will do it, they will hear it.
Can I ask a question, please? Rabbi Wolf, it was nice talking.
Shmuley, but just with Simcha.
Okay, it was nice talking to you this morning, Rabbi Wolf. So I'm Shmuley Schlanger from Bakersfield, California. It was very rational and it was very wonderful on how this was all just described, that this is Geula, this is the signs, this is the pain. What would you say to those that are wired that without much black and white, that the ultimate for Lubavitch Chassidim is to tell everyone that the Rebbe said there's a Nasi Hadar who's going to take us out, and that Nasi Hadar is Moshiach Shebdereinu, it's the Frierdiker Rebbe, and you should accept, and we as Shluchim should tell everyone that the Lubavitch Rebbe is Moshiach and he's coming to take us out. Repeat after me. There are those that believe like that. Even to this, to everything that was discussed, this may sound kind of gray. You're also missing it over here. So
I will answer to that yes, you know what, if you can bring your people to that and you bring them up slowly but surely is one thing, but if you're not holding there yet, at least start. You know, that's the emphasis of if you look at Pashas Mishpatim, where the Rebbe says Mashiach is already in the world and he's Poyel and he's in New York, and the Rebbe said it all out. But the Shaila is you have to bring people up. Yeah, it doesn't you can't shout that in the street in a way that it just hurts, that it turns people off. It has to be built. It has to be built up. It has to be studied. You know, we had time to.
But there's a very big roiv, especially when it comes towards the Kinnas HaShluchim, that you're either on this side or on that side. I've never spoken here, okay? Those and other groups will say, no, this is the message of the Rebbe, this is the message, and this is what our Kinnas is all about, and this is what that Kinnas is all about, and this one's good, and this one's crazy, and this one's crazy, and this one's good. So
okay, that's a problem. But we're here to fix problems. We're here to slowly bridge the bridges and to build and to have an understanding, and to bring a little oidus to tell you in Kalim the Tikkun. So it's an avodah. Obviously, it's an avodah.
Very beautiful.
It's taking us already 32 years.
I want to share something. I want to share something very positive and very small. Yesterday, I was sitting here getting my news from all the wrong sources. Like, unfortunately, every human being with a big Yetzer Hara. I went out. I said to hell with, I said to heck with this. I'm going out. There's a woman that lives literally down from the Chabad house. She never comes. She always affiliated with the conservative movement. She's Israeli. She's very spiritual. And she's had issues with the types of people we don't accept, with conversions. And I knocked on her door and she says, it is so good to see you. I'm going through my own Chevle Mashiach right now. The mold in the kitchen, and I thought I was going to visit her, but she was visiting me. And we sat there for 45 minutes outside her door, and she's bragging about the 3 Catholic adopted grandchildren that have decided they're becoming Jewish. So she's still in a place, but we nonstop. She says, but this is nothing more than Gog Magog, right? I'm like, yeah, I guess right, you know. So I came back and I said, that's it. I got to say Bop or ship out, you know. So thanks for listening, everyone.
I just have a quick story in our Chabad house. Ari Lane
Thank
here.
you for sharing. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Shmuley. Just a guy that he's 75 years old. He fought in the 6-Day War. Lives here for several years. I've seen him maybe once or twice. Married to someone, Giyodas. I heard about him, like he wanted the esrog seed to plant an esrog tree. That was like the big, not Rosh Hashanah, not Yom Kippur, but I wanted an esrog seed. Anyway, I invited him to come. Invited to come to Shachris. We have a daily minyan. He's bought himself a pair of tefillin. He hasn't missed a day of Shachris. I'm talking about every single day, 7 days a week. Sitting, learning Chumash and Tanya right after davening every single day. This is a guy he just went completely, and now he's volunteering to be in a preschool, to be the guard in front of the preschool for an hour a day or so. It's like, I just saw this Yid and Pashat went 180 degrees. Unbelievable. And he's very excited about. And also, I got a feeling in Camarillo, at least where I am, that when I walk into a store, I feel there's certain achdus from the Goyim in an unbelievable way, at least in our neighborhood, of people just coming to me all the time. And I think that's Moshiach. I mean, maybe it was said already, but just like I feel the Moshiach somehow feel like there's a certain, those that hate us, but the feeling of those other Goyim, the amount of flowers and people coming and sending letters, and just one person just shalom, just the feeling of we're with you, Rabbi, we're with you, you're thank you for being you. It's just a very Mashiach, I find, and very
I'm finding that as well. People coming over out of the woodworks.
Yeah,
it's Jewish. We love you. We love you. We support you.
It's like V'ro Kalami Aretz. It's an unbelievable feeling. I feel a certain unity that I feel walking down the streets. That it's very Mashiach unity, and this is L'havdil B'the Goyim. That it's just something that I'm experiencing here.
So maybe this would be an opportunity. I'm sorry, I'm jumping in over here, Sandy. Maybe it would be a good opportunity. Maybe a thought that we should. Mandy Rubenfeld knows the list of how many people do we have officially affiliated with, identified with the group of Minatzchim. I think there was a few hundred or something like this. Maybe we can send out an email, a letter, a bakasha to the ma'argene hakinusim, because it was spoken about before, that let's have one kinus ba'achtis all together, and if there could be, since there could be achtis all over, from right and left and center, and we're out left and whatever it is, and left out, let's have within ourselves also, maybe this year we can have kinus where everybody is present and everything is ba'achtis, and I'm sure we can find a way how to, those who are very overly concerned with, and no, I shouldn't say this, we are all concerned with ba'if and miskabel, and those who are concerned with what is miskabel, etc. Those, although as they say, the devil is in the details, but I'm sure there is honest and sincere desire to work it out. There can be found a language that we can all agree on and we can all live with, and we can bring the message. And maybe that would be an idea, that to draft something nice on behalf of all the members, send it out to all the members of all the WhatsApp groups who wants to put his name to it, and if not, is it okay? We use your name and send this to the Ma'argin Akinus, to the Vada Akinusim, I should say, right? And they should both get together and find a way how to work this out. This is the moment where as you so beautifully said before, Ari, I hope you don't mind me calling you Ari. I'm sure you get uncomfortable, Rabbi Shishler. And yes, the unfathomable happened, right? The unexpected happened. I don't think that this is so unfathomable. I don't think this is so. We just have to voice and ask and beg and demand, and it will happen. And I think this would be the most beautiful nachas ruach we can give to our Moshiach, that all of us believe, even those who say we shouldn't say it, but everybody believes that the Rebbe is Moshiach. There's no question about it. Everybody says Nasi Ador, and everybody said Buhi Golenu, so that's not an issue. The question is only what decibel I should use and how big a print font I should use, but everybody believes the same thing. So maybe it's an idea. I don't know what people over here online think about it. Suggestion. I take it as shtike kohidah. Everybody agrees.
So who can write that? I'm definitely in for signing, and everybody should sign.
Sounds like a
But
good
who can
idea.
definitely be written up?
One of the things we have to consider is what exactly we are asking. If you make it a specific request, then there's what to talk about. If you're just saying a general kind of point, then it's going to be something that they will be able to sidestep. If it's something specific, and I think that instead of
I just posted in the chat that if they're doing the banquet earlier.
What?
I just posted in the chat, if they're doing the banquet earlier in the day, there's an opportunity to, in the evening, have a big Achdus farbrengen, which might be the least threatening concept to the different kinusim.
I was thinking along the same exact lines.
Don't
ask them to necessarily form a formal whatever it is, but make a point of everybody coming together after the banquet. Maybe whatever it is, figure out a way to do it, that everybody comes together, and nobody's checking badges by the door. It gets put out there. Everybody comes together, and a very seemingly small, but I think a very significant step into saying that whatever the difference is, etc., 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 etc. The only thing that we're checking at the door is the fact that we're all chassidim and what's it called of the Rebbe. And we all consider ourselves the Yad HaPoel of the Rebbe's Heirais.
That would be really beautiful. That would be really, and you know what? Last week we had a discussion about an Achdus event, about different Rabbanim. In the end, it didn't go too far. But I'm sharing with you something I'm trying to get going. I was thinking that if you can make one of these huge kinusim, we spoke about having a Yom Tefillah, right? But why that wouldn't work? But then I had an interesting thought. that I'm using this. I'm using that outline for this as well for a reason. In other words, my idea was that we shouldn't have that when you make this big, huge Achdus event for the Jewish for Al Yidden, there shouldn't be any speakers. It should be just the children that are leading Yidden in Tefillah. It should be the thing is actually a big cry for Moshiach, thousands and thousands and thousands of people. There should be only children leading from Tehillim. And my idea was that if you can get the music performers, that they should be the ones who put it together. I'm trying to reach Benny Friedman. He said he's going to speak to me today. So if Benny Friedman and Shulam Lam and all these guys call up, and they're the ones who create it, because they have the connections to all the producers and stuff like that. And all there is singing and thing. So what I'm thinking is in this event, if you make a shluchim event and everybody together on speeches, well, Amos fangt on with speeches. Is the very deret and the halt. Ich kann nicht gehen. This guy is going to speak or that going to speak. We're getting together and we're just dancing together. Zauza, alle zusammen Chassidim. Once you're starting to give speeches, this one you machabed him. Why are you having him speak? Why are you having this one speak?
Yeah, but somebody just posted on the chat a minute ago. Sorry, somebody just posted on the chat a minute ago. There is this farbrengen after the banquet in 770, where everybody is equally welcome, right? So this exists already. I mean,
yeah, but it's not highlighted that everybody should come and everybody's coming together from.
It is.
No matter if you're where.
It is the official farbrengen that everybody can come, and it depends if you want to come or you don't want to come. But it is the type of thing that where everybody is welcome. So this exists. But I find it also a little bit ironic that we say like this: we are different, but for a few hours we're going to be together, right? Which is more or less what you were speaking. We don't want to have a geula. We don't want just to finish the half a job. I think.
So what should we do?
I think I don't say anything wrong and inappropriate with simply asking and demanding. Find a way how to make one kinnis. Find a way how to make a kinnis. Find a way. You have your reservations because of this reason, of that reason, and this one has this reason. Put away all the reasons, and if we're asking from all the internet as well to put away all their demonstrations and all their valid arguments and back and forth, etc. Everybody put everything away. And what? We're in it together. Put away for once all the valid arguments, how valid they are, whatever it is. We're not disputing that all your arguments, all the reasons are valid. But there comes a point, there is a moment where we put everything away and we go on the battlefield together. And that's what's happening in Eretz Yisrael. If it could happen in Eretz Yisrael, why can't it happen by us? And I think we should demand that we should ask him in a very polite way and send this to both Ma'argenei Akinus. It's not just about one, it's two. Put away all the issues that you have, as holy or unholy they are. It's irrelevant. It says, man for pekuach nefesh, it says, eis leises Lashem. It says, man of geula, whatever way you want to look at the glass of under the chuppah which is broken. You can say that even during celebration you have to remember the broken glass, but you can also look at it even during the broken glass you have to celebrate. So let's look how we can celebrate in the broken glass, and in this moment let us celebrate and bring Geula and bring the Rebbe Nachas and allow Melech HaMashiach to come in. It used to be this joke years ago, although it's not I would like to believe it's not relevant today anymore. The Rebbe has a problem coming into 770. Upstairs he can't come, he's going to be told you're a Meshachis. Downstairs he can't come, he doesn't have a Yechiyah. He can't come into 770. Right? So let's stop with this nonsense, let's stop with the narishkeit, and just simply find the way. You the organizers, you find a way. They want eitzes? As Amgorari says, they get to Shul Isaac Papak. Or we'll find them eitzes, we'll give them eitzes. But I don't see why this cannot be an honest, sincere request, demand, bakasha nafshis. Use the term whatever you want. But why not? Why do we think that this is, as Ari said before, why do we think that this is completely unimaginable? We imagine the Rebbe walking in, right? All of us imagine, we don't know exactly is it going to be the front or the side or the back or the elevator. As the Rebbe says, Moshiach kommt, as the Rebbe said then before the Nisias. Whatever it is, right? Everybody is there. So if we can imagine suddenly the Rebbe walking in, and you can imagine Tris amazing, right? It takes a lot of imagination for that, right? Why can't we imagine that? Why can't we imagine this? That's what Gul is all about. So I think if somebody could, and you know what, I'm going to ask Rabbi Shishler to do this, to write it up. And that's the easiest thing, I'd give it somebody else. But no, to write it up, and on behalf of so many shluchim, because circulated quickly in all our chat groups. Everybody has a group, and everybody has so many people around. Are you willing to put your name to it? And it should be a simple bakosha. Ma'argin akinus, find a way to work out. There should be one kinus. That's all. Again, I guess it's unanimous.
Agreed. No.
Rabbi Shishler also agreed. You didn't say no. You're willing to write it out.
I don't see what's so complicated.
Nothing complicated.
It's not. It's not.
I see it's something very simple. And within 24 hours, you can have the whole thing done. Lonis Avo, WhatsApp, Ella for this. This is the moment. Let's use them. Let's use these tools.
Certainly am available to help with Rabbi Shishler.
Okay. We have our in-house idol, right? Label, where are you?
I'm here somewhere.
I heard your voice.
I don't know. Hold on. Oh, I got to start my video. Okay.
Oh. So, Label, you want to write something out? Send it to Rabbi Shishler. Send it to the people, to this, and everybody will make the comments, and we give people no more than 25 minutes to make the comments and respond. And then let's send it out to all the groups who wants to sign up on this.
Would you want me to start the dance, lead the dance, or would you like to lead the dance?
I think you have a lot of experience.
We'll see. I'll give it a shot. And then we can put it out there and see what happens.
Okay, that sounds
Then
great.
you have a half hour to do it because it's already at night. In South Africa, it's very late. He wants to do it before he goes to sleep, and so.
Okay. All right. The best way to get you is Facebook Messenger.
No, that's terrible. But I'll get your number out of the Minatzchim WhatsApp group, and I'll send you a WhatsApp.
Okay. All right. No problem.
All right, everyone. Bis damals soll Moshiach du sein heint. Okay.
Jetzt. Amen.
Jetzt.
Amen.
Amen.
Ayashakech.
Everyone.
Thank you so much.
You.
Really appreciate it.
The first petition goes to the Rebbe, and then by default the kinnis will be Bachdus.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, everybody. Called Tov, and there was a Besudas Tevis, and the ultimate. There's only one Besuda that we're really holding out for.
Meet you at the main entrance of the Beis Hamikdash right now.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.